A strange crash in the forest. Ethan lived alone near the edge of Black Pine Forest. He was a simple man, just 30 years old, quiet, kind, and good with his hands. People in the small nearby town called him the Fixer. If something was broken, an old car, a rusted bike, even an old radio, Ethan could bring it back to life. But Ethan didn't have many friends. He liked working in his garage, listening to music, and walking in the woods. That night, like many others, he was sitting on his wooden porch with a cup of tea in his hand. The stars were bright. The night was calm. He looked up at the sky, thinking about nothing special. Suddenly, the sky exploded with light. A loud boom shook the ground. Birds flew out of the trees. The teacup fell from Ethan's hand and broke on the floor. "What was that?" he whispered, standing up. He looked toward the forest. A trail of orange fire streaked across the night sky. It crashed deep inside the woods. A second later, he heard a distant crash, like metal hitting rocks. Something had fallen. A plane, a meteor, a satellite. Ethan grabbed his flashlight and his old toolkit without thinking. He had no idea why, but something inside told him to go now. The forest was dark and cold. Twigs cracked under his boots. The flashlight flickered, lighting only a small circle ahead. The wind was quiet, but Ethan's heart was loud in his chest. He walked for almost 20 minutes, following the direction of the fire trail. Then he smelled something strange, like burning metal and flowers. That was odd. And then he saw it. A small spaceship, shaped like a silver crescent moon, was buried in the earth, half cracked, smoke rising from it. Trees around it were on fire, but slowly dying down. The ship's lights blinked weakly. Ethan froze. This wasn't human. The ship was alien. He stepped closer, carefully. The hull was broken in one place, like it had been torn open from the inside. Sparks flew out of the crack. Then he saw her. Lying on the ground beside the ship was a figure, not fully human. She looked like a tall woman, maybe 6 feet, with pale silver skin, long white hair, and strange markings glowing faintly on her arms. Her armor was broken. One shoulder plate was missing, and there was blue blood on the grass. She was still breathing, but barely. "Hey," Ethan said softly. "Can you hear me?" No response. He dropped to his knees and slowly touched the side of her armor. It was cracked, but there was a small panel that looked loose. His mechanic's brain kicked in. Without fear, just instinct, he opened the panel and looked inside. "Same as a power core," he muttered. "Just more advanced." He began fixing it, using 2 wires from his kit. As he connected the last piece, something strange happened. A voice spoke from the armor. It wasn't loud, but it sounded clear and robotic. "Royal unit, damaged. Initiating Protocol 37. Nearest qualified fixer, detected. Assigning temporary command. King." Ethan's eyes widened. What? The armor's chest piece began to glow. The light moved up her neck and onto her face. Her eyelids fluttered. Then she opened her eyes. They glowed silver. She sat up fast, like a soldier waking from sleep. Her hand grabbed a hidden blade from her waist and pointed it right at Ethan's neck. Ethan froze. Wait. I helped you." She stared at him, breathing hard. Her pupils were strange, narrow, and bright. Her hand shook slightly, but she didn't attack. "You fixed armor," she said in broken English. He nodded, very slowly. She looked at him, confused. Then something in her expression changed. Her eyes softened. Her hand lowered. She knelt before him. "By ancient law," she said softly, voice full of respect, "you are now my king." Ethan blinked. "What? No, I just fixed your suit." But she didn't move. She bowed her head. Far above them, in the night sky, a dark shadow moved across the stars. Something else was watching. And it was coming. The royal code. The cold forest air stood still. Ethan couldn't move. A silver-skinned alien warrior had just knelt in front of him and called him something no one ever had. My king. Her glowing silver eyes were locked on his face. Her voice was respectful, almost holy. The broken armor that moments ago had been sparking and dead was now pulsing with soft light, and it was clear. Something ancient had been triggered. But Ethan, he was just a guy who fixed things. I'm not a king, Ethan said, raising his hand slowly. I'm a mechanic. I live in a cabin. I fix broken stuff. The alien woman looked up at him. You fixed the core, she said. Only a true one can do that. You touched the royal armor. It accepted you. Ethan shook his head, confused. I just connected a few wires. Anyone with basic tools could have. No, she cut in firmly. Armor does not lie. She slowly stood up, her body still weak, her movements sharp like a soldier's. Even injured, she stood tall, with pride and power in every step. I am Clara, she said, placing a fist over her heart. Royal defender of House Valorin, sworn to protect the heir, or the king. Ethan stared at her, blinking. What are you even talking about? Clara's expression softened just slightly. Your world does not know us. But long ago, our people were linked. Before the Great Division. Before we thought your kind were extinct. Ethan stepped back. You think I'm your king because I fixed your armor. Clara nodded. The armor carries the royal code. It only unlocks for the one who is worthy. You touched the core. It lit for you. It means one thing. You are the one chosen by the armor's legacy. Ethan rubbed his face. This is crazy. Before either could say more, the armor on Clara's chest blinked red. Warning. Enemy signal detected. Location traced. Incoming units. 2. She grabbed her blade. They're coming. Who? Ethan asked. Hunters. They track me. If they find you with me, they will kill you too. Now Ethan's heart began to race. Why are they hunting you? Clara looked down. Because I carry the knowledge of the old bloodline. My kingdom fell. I escaped with the royal armor. They want it. And the last piece of the royal code. Ethan stepped closer. Why Earth? She pointed at his chest. Because of you. Before Ethan could answer, a loud humming sound filled the air. Lights, deep red and unnatural, shined through the trees behind them. The enemy had arrived. Clara spun around and took a defensive stance. Stay behind me. But Ethan stepped forward. No, this is my home. We protect what's ours. Clara turned, surprised. Then she nodded once. Out of the shadows came 2 tall beings, almost human in shape, but with long black armor, glowing red eyes, and clawed hands. They spoke in a low growling language Ethan couldn't understand. Then one pointed at Ethan. Human. Step away. Ethan didn't move. Clara spoke in their language. Ethan didn't understand the words, but he understood the tone. She was warning them. One of the hunters growled and raised a strange weapon that looked like a whip made of light. Clara blocked it in a flash. Sparks flew. The sound was like thunder in a tunnel. The second hunter rushed toward Ethan. But the armor on Clara's chest blinked again. The blue shield exploded outward, protecting Ethan. Clara shouted something and threw a glowing disc at the attacker. It exploded with light, throwing the hunter into a tree. But the first one wasn't down. Ethan saw it happen in slow motion. Clara was too far. The second hunter aimed a long blade at Ethan's chest. Ethan reacted without thinking. He picked up a sharp metal piece from the broken ship and blocked the attack. It cut his hand, but the alien blade bounced off. The armor on Clara's chest flashed bright gold. Protector and King. Bond confirmed. A shockwave blasted outward. Both hunters were thrown back. Ethan fell to one knee, holding his bleeding hand. Clara ran to him. You are brave. even without training. Ethan grinned. I watch a lot of action movies. She smiled, just for a second. Then her face turned serious again. We must leave. Now. But where? Ethan asked, shaking from adrenaline. She reached to her wrist and pressed something. A small round portal opened, glowing blue. This will take us to a safe zone on another world. Ethan looked back at his cabin, his home, his quiet life. Then he looked at her, at the armor, the blade, the blood, the strange glow on his hand where the armor had touched him. Nothing would be the same again. He stepped through the portal. They arrived in a dry alien desert, wind blowing red sand across the horizon. 3 suns burned in the sky. Ethan dropped to his knees. Whoa! Clara scanned the area. We are safe. For now. Ethan looked up. So what happens now? Clara turned to him, her voice calm, strong. Now, you learn what it means to be king. The hunt begins. The wind blew hot and dry across the red sands of the alien desert. 3 suns hovered in the sky, burning down like glowing eyes. The ground was cracked, the rocks sharp, and the air full of silence. Ethan took a shaky step forward, then another. The desert felt endless. His skin, used to cool forests and soft rain, was now sweating under harsh light. His boots sank slightly into the sand. How far is this safe zone? Ethan asked, breathing hard. Clara stood ahead of him, tall and calm, her silver hair moving with the breeze. Her armor was still damaged, though partly repaired after Ethan touched it again. She walked like a soldier who had marched for days without rest. There is an old shelter, she replied. It belonged to the ancients. We will reach it before the suns cross. Ethan nodded, though he didn't fully understand. He had no map, no compass, just a warrior woman who called him my king, and an alien desert full of unknown dangers. They walked for hours. The heat burned their backs. Once, Ethan nearly fell. Clara caught him. You need water, she said, and opened a small container from her armor. The liquid inside was blue, but refreshing. It tasted like mint and metal. As they continued, Ethan noticed something strange. Shadows moving behind the rocks. Did you see that? He asked. Clara stopped. She scanned the horizon with her glowing eyes. We are being followed. Ethan felt a chill, even in the heat. Is it those hunters again? Clara nodded slowly. They used a tracker drone. It can lock onto the armor's energy signature. They must have entered the portal after us. Great, Ethan muttered. Aliens chasing me through deserts now. What's next? Lava. Clara didn't smile. Lava exists. 3 mountains north. Ethan sighed. It was a joke. She gently pulled him toward a large rock formation. Come, we make a stand here. They hid inside a small cave, barely big enough for 2 people. The walls were cool, the light dim. Clara pressed a button on her wrist, and a holographic screen opened in the air. 2 red dots were moving fast. They are close, she said. We must be ready. Ethan looked down at his hands. He still had cuts from the last fight. I'm not a fighter, Clara. She turned to him. You are more than that. The armor chose you. That means something. I fix things, he said. Not people, not wars. She placed her hand gently on his. Then fix this. Help me protect you. Before they could speak more, a high-pitched sound echoed across the canyon. Then, a drone flew past the cave, scanning the area with a red light. Clara moved first, fast, and silent like a ghost. She jumped up, grabbed the drone, and crushed it with her bare hands. Sparks flew. Now they know, she whispered. They're coming. From the top of a hill, 2 shadows appeared. The hunters, back again. They looked more dangerous than before. One had a larger weapon now, a staff that crackled with dark energy. The other held a net launcher, made for capturing. Leave the girl, one growled. We only want the code. Clara stepped in front of Ethan. He is the code. The hunters paused. Then one of them laughed. A human, he said. A mechanic. You are desperate. Clara didn't move. He fixed the royal core. The armor accepted him. The hunters didn't laugh now. If that is true, one said coldly, then he must die. The fight started quickly. Clara charged forward, spinning her blade and striking the first hunter. Sparks exploded from his armor. Ethan ducked behind a rock, heart racing, watching the most amazing and terrifying thing he had ever seen. Blades clashed. Weapons roared. The sand turned to glass under the heat of their battle. But then the second hunter moved around and came straight for Ethan. Ethan scrambled back, slipping on a rock. The hunter raised his net launcher. Ethan grabbed the first thing he could find, a metal shard from the cave floor, and threw it. It hit the launcher, jamming it for a second. That second was enough. Clara shouted something and threw her energy disc. It hit the hunter's helmet, cracking it. The hunter fell. But the other hunter had managed to stab her side. Clara cried out in pain, dropping to one knee. Ethan ran to her. No, 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 don't you die on me. He looked at her armor. It was sparking again. Broken. Let me fix it, he whispered. She nodded weakly. Only you can. Ethan worked fast, his fingers trembling. He remembered the panel from before. He opened it, rewired 2 wires, and pressed the reset glyph. The armor's chest began to glow again. Core active. Defense mode. Linked to royal blood. Suddenly, a golden force field pushed outward, throwing both hunters back. Clara stood again, stronger. She held Ethan's hand. We are bonded now. The armor protects us both. The hunters looked unsure now. One tried to run. Clara raised her arm. A beam of blue light shot out, hitting him in the back. He fell, unmoving. The last hunter looked at Ethan, then at Clara, and then dropped his weapon. I will tell the others, he said. The king lives. And he vanished in a flash of red smoke. Silence returned. Ethan dropped to the ground, exhausted. Did we just win? Clara nodded, holding her bleeding side. For now. You're hurt, he said, reaching for her arm. She let him. You saved me. Twice now. He looked into her silver eyes. I guess I'm more than a fixer after all. She smiled softly. You are the king of the broken, the healer of the lost. Ethan chuckled. That's a pretty cool title. Suddenly, the armor glowed again and projected a new hologram. A message from far away. A voice spoke. Royal signal detected. All loyal forces return to the old throne. A new king rises. Ethan's smile faded. What does that mean? Clara looked at the stars above. It means the galaxy knows you are alive. Desert of the Lost Kings. The sun was beginning to fall, its orange light casting long shadows across the red desert. The battle was over, for now, but the silence after the fight felt heavier than any noise. Ethan sat beside Clara under a large rock outcrop, wrapping cloth around her wounded side. Her skin was colder now, and the glowing lines on her arms were flickering. You need real help, Ethan said softly, worry in his voice. Clara looked at him, weak but calm. The old shelter is close, just beyond the ridge. He nodded, trying to stay brave, even though everything inside him screamed, You're not ready for this. But he had come too far to turn back. They continued walking, the sands growing darker as the sun sank lower in the sky. Strange creatures howled in the distance, alien wolves or worse. Ethan kept his hand near a sharp metal tool, the only thing close to a weapon he had. Clara guided them through a canyon, her steps slower now. Then Ethan saw something, a massive stone gate, half buried in sand, standing tall like the broken teeth of a sleeping giant. This is it? He asked. Clara nodded. The entrance to the Tomb of Kings. The name alone gave him chills. They pushed open the gate. The stone moved with a deep rumble, revealing a narrow path inside. As they stepped through, the heat of the desert faded, replaced by cool, ancient air. The tunnel was dark, but small blue lights lit up as they walked, sensing the armor Clara wore, and maybe sensing Ethan too. Soon, the tunnel opened into a huge underground chamber. Ethan gasped. Massive statues stood on both sides, warriors with wings, queens with swords, kings with stars in their hands, all carved from crystal and gold. The walls shimmered with patterns that moved like water. At the center stood a raised platform, and on it, a throne, simple but powerful, made of black stone, with golden roots growing through it. Ethan stepped closer. What is this place? Clara knelt beside the throne. It is the place where the old kings were crowned, where royal bloodlines were tested. Only one with the code may sit. Ethan looked at the throne. No way, he whispered. I'm not royalty. I'm not a leader. I'm just. But before he could finish, the armor on Clara's body glowed, and so did the marks on the throne. Royal Core verified. A soft voice echoed through the chamber. Subject, human male. DNA, mixed ancient strand. Status, compatible. The throne lit up. Clara slowly stood, pain clear in her body. Your blood carries something, something lost to time. Maybe your ancestors were part of our kind long ago. Or maybe fate is rewriting the stars. Ethan walked up to the throne, still unsure, still scared. His hand touched the cold stone. A surge of light rushed through him. Images flashed in his mind. A battle in space, golden cities burning. A king standing alone before thousands. A promise made. One day, when we are broken, a fixer will rise. Ethan staggered back, breathing hard. What was that? He asked. Clara looked at him with awe. Memories of the old kings, passed into the throne. It has accepted you. Ethan turned away. But I don't want this. You didn't choose it, she said. But it chose you. While they rested, Clara collapsed again. Her wound had reopened. The armor tried to heal her, but it was too weak. Ethan acted fast. He took her armor off gently, carefully reconnecting loose wires and cooling the overheated core with a metal tool dipped in the strange blue water from before. It was the third time he fixed it. As he worked, the armor spoke again. Repair attempt detected. Royal bond strengthening. Access level rising. More lights appeared in the walls of the chamber. Doors opened. Wind blew softly through the tunnels. The tomb was waking up. Ethan followed the sound and entered a side room. Inside, he found a glowing pool, its surface swirling with silver light. Above it, old words were written in alien symbols, but one phrase translated itself in front of him. The pool of the broken healed. He ran back to Clara. Come on, you're going to be okay. He carried her, step by step, and lowered her into the pool. The moment she touched the water, her body lit up. The lines on her skin burned bright. Her eyes opened wide. I can feel it, she whispered. It's healing me. Ethan sat beside the pool, watching. He felt like a man who had wandered into a dream. After hours, Clara stepped out of the pool, fully healed. She stood taller, stronger. But her eyes were not only grateful, they were glowing brighter. I remember now, she said. Remember what? She walked toward the throne and pointed at a large mirror-like wall. Ethan followed her gaze. There was a carving there. A man who looked exactly like Ethan, standing with Clara's ancestors, holding the same armor in his hand. That's me, Ethan asked. Clara nodded. It's not just that the armor accepted you. You were always meant to find it. Your bloodline connects to ours. You are not just a fixer. You are the key. Ethan stepped back. Why me? I never wanted to lead. I just wanted a quiet life. Clara walked up to him. Her voice was gentle but strong. Sometimes kings are not born in palaces. Sometimes they come from cabins, from the forests, from Earth. He looked at her. What now? She replied with calm certainty. Now, you prepare to take back the stars. But far away, beyond the desert, the hunter who escaped knelt before a shadowy figure. He has the royal code, the hunter said. He lives. The figure's eyes glowed red. Then we begin the final hunt. A huge fleet of alien ships powered up, and Earth was their first target. Rise of the Forgotten Throne. Inside the ancient chamber, the air shimmered with light. The throne of the Forgotten Kings was no longer silent. It pulsed with quiet power, as if waking from a long, deep sleep. Ethan stood still, staring at the large carving of the man who looked just like him, etched in glowing crystal above the throne. Clara stood beside him, her armor now fully healed, her body stronger. But her eyes held something new: respect and fear. Why is my face on that wall? Ethan asked again, slowly. Clara didn't answer right away. Instead, she walked toward a new panel that had appeared behind the throne. It opened with a soft click, revealing a golden sphere, floating midair. As she touched it, a soft hum filled the room. A holographic figure appeared, a woman in armor, regal and tall, her voice calm but powerful. To the one who restores the royal core, this message is for you. Ethan leaned closer. If you are hearing this, the galaxy is broken. The ancient line has fallen. But prophecy said a fixer would come, not a king born of war, but one born of peace. A healer, a builder, a protector. Clara glanced at Ethan, quietly whispering, "They meant you." The message continued. Your blood carries the old strands. Your hands repair what others destroy. But now, you must decide. Will you rise to the Forgotten Throne, or will you turn away and let the stars burn? The message faded. Silence returned. Ethan sat on the edge of the throne. His heart felt heavy. He had come so far, from a quiet cabin in the woods to an alien tomb of kings. But now, the choice was his. He looked at his hands, the same hands that once fixed lawnmowers, cars, and radios, now held the future of a galaxy. I'm just a guy, he whispered. I didn't ask for this. Clara knelt in front of him. Neither did I. But when the call comes, only a few answer, and fewer still are ready. She stood and walked toward the back wall. Come, there is something else you must see. She led Ethan through a narrow passage, deep beneath the tomb. They walked in silence until they reached another chamber, the Hall of Bloodlines. Here, massive glowing crystals floated in the air. Each one showed a different face: kings, queens, warriors, and even alien children. As Ethan walked through, one of the crystals blinked and shifted. It showed his face. Then it showed his father, and behind him, an older version of someone who looked like Ethan, but with gray hair, on Earth, long ago. Ethan was shocked. My grandfather, he whispered. Clara nodded. The connection is clear now. He must have come from this world, long ago. Or perhaps he was sent to Earth, to keep the bloodline safe. Ethan's mind raced. He remembered stories his grandfather told, strange tales about stars, lost cities, and machines that could think. Nobody ever believed them. But now, Ethan did. Suddenly, the floor trembled. The lights above flickered. Clara grabbed her blade. They found us, she said. From above, a sound like thunder shook the walls. Dust fell from the ceiling. Ethan and Clara ran back to the throne room. The sky above had turned red. The roof of the tomb began to open, shifting like petals unfolding. And high above in the sky, they saw them, a fleet of alien warships, their dark shadows stretching across the clouds. Clara's face turned hard. The Shadow Fleet. What do they want? Ethan asked. She looked at him. To destroy the throne. And you. The armor on Calera's chest began to glow bright blue. Emergency protocol activated, the armor's voice said. Incoming threat. Recommend full activation of Royal Beacon. Calara turned to Ethan. There's a beacon. Ancient. Hidden. If we activate it, it will send a message to my people, those who still believe in the royal line. They will come. Ethan swallowed hard. And if we don't? She looked into the sky. Then we die here, and the galaxy loses hope. Ethan stood before the throne again. The armor formed a small controlled sphere in his palm. Lights ran up his arm, glowing brighter with every heartbeat. He placed his hand on the throne. The entire chamber lit up like a sun. The beacon activated. High above the tomb, a tower of golden light exploded into the sky, piercing through the clouds, visible for thousands of miles. In the darkness of space, across unknown systems, hidden ships turned toward the light. Messages spread like fire. The beacon is lit. The lost king has returned. Back on the surface, the Shadow Fleet saw the signal and moved to strike. Dozens of ships descended. Clara turned to Ethan. We have to defend this place until the others arrive. Ethan took a deep breath. Then let's get to work. They activated the tomb's defense systems. Hidden turrets rose from the sand. Old energy shields came back online. Ethan, with his fixer's hands, rewired one of the ancient cannons to run on power from Calera's armor. He was no soldier, but he could fix anything. And now, he would fix this too. The battle began. Shadow soldiers dropped from the sky. Laser blasts lit the sand. Calera fought like a storm, swords flashing, armor glowing. Ethan defended the tomb doors, using a modified blaster powered by the throne's energy core. Every time a machine failed, he fixed it. Every time Calera fell, he helped her back up. Together, they held the line. Finally, when the tomb's shield began to crack, a sound filled the sky. Dozens of ships burst through the clouds, sleek and silver, marked with golden symbols. The royal fleet had arrived. From one of the ships, a powerful voice echoed across the battlefield. Protect the king. The tide turned. Shadow soldiers began to fall back. The royal warriors landed beside Calera, forming a wall of shields around her and Ethan. One of them, a general in golden armor, bowed before Ethan. We heard the beacon, he said. We came for you, my king. The battle ended. The Shadow Fleet fled. And in the heart of the desert, beneath the stars, a new king stood beside his people, not because he wanted power, but because he knew how to rebuild what had been broken. The human king returns. The desert air still shimmered with heat and smoke. Broken ships lay scattered across the red sand. The battle was over, for now. But the scars remained. Ethan stood among the ruins, breathing hard. His hands were burned, his shirt torn, but his eyes burned with something new. Purpose. Around him, soldiers in shining armor stood tall, silent, waiting. Above them, the royal fleet hovered, filling the sky with light. Calera walked to Ethan, her armor scratched and glowing. She looked at him, not as a stranger, not even as a warrior, but now as her king. It is time, she said. Ethan looked at the nearest ship. Its ramp was open, waiting for him. Time for what? To return to Earth, she answered. Before the Shadow Fleet does. Inside the royal ship, the air was clean, cool, and bright. The walls shimmered with soft light. Everything felt alive, like the ship itself could think. Ethan sat in the command chair, not by choice, but because the ship refused to move until he did. Every control lit up under his touch. This is insane, Ethan whispered. I'm just a guy with tools. I'm not a king. Calera stood beside him, placing a hand gently on his shoulder. You fixed more than my armor. You fixed my faith, in the prophecy, in hope. Ethan didn't speak. He just looked out the large window as the ship jumped through stars, heading toward Earth. Back on Earth, In the skies above the forest where it all began, a massive storm was building. The Shadow Fleet had arrived. Their ships were black like oil, sharp like knives. People across the world looked up, confused, scared. Governments scrambled. Jets flew. But nothing on Earth could stop what was coming. At a small cabin near Black Pine Forest, a group of shadow soldiers landed. They searched the cabin. They searched the forest. But the one they were looking for, Ethan, was gone. A commander snarled. He left, but he will return. And when he does, the commander thought, we will be ready. Hours later, the clouds above Earth ripped open with golden light. The royal fleet entered Earth's skies. People watched in shock as silver ships floated above cities, not attacking, but calm, peaceful, full of strange symbols and beautiful lights. Then the broadcast came. All over the world, on every screen, every device, every channel, Ethan's face appeared. He stood tall, dressed in the formal armor of the old kings, but still wearing his old boots. His voice was steady but kind. "Hello," he said. "My name is Ethan. I come in peace. I am not here to rule. I am here to protect." He paused. "A war is coming, not between worlds, but between those who destroy and those who rebuild. I choose to rebuild, and I invite you to stand with me." At first, the world was silent. Then one voice cheered, then another. Soon, from rooftops to roads, from villages to cities, the world responded, not with fear, but with hope. The human king had returned. But peace did not last long. The Shadow Fleet began their attack in a quiet city on the edge of the sea. They dropped dark pods from the sky. Strange machines crawled from them. Fast, deadly, ruthless. People screamed. Soldiers fought. But Earth's weapons had no effect. Then, light broke the sky. Ethan and Clara descended, leading the royal guard. Their weapons were sharp, but their hearts were sharper. They moved fast, striking hard, defending the people with courage and fire. Ethan, in his armor, fought beside everyone, not above them. He helped lift children from rubble. He carried an injured man to safety. He blocked a shot meant for a scared teenager. Clara watched him, her heart full. He wasn't just a king. He was a good man. In the middle of the battle, the Shadow Commander finally appeared. A massive alien, covered in black spikes and powered by red energy, stepped out from a dark ship. His eyes burned. He pointed at Ethan. "You are the fixer," he hissed. Ethan stood tall. "I fix what you break." The commander laughed. "Then fix this." He raised his hand, and a beam of dark energy flew toward Ethan. Clara jumped in front of him. The beam struck her armor, and she fell hard to the ground. "Clara!" Ethan shouted, running to her. She coughed. Her armor cracked again, smoke rising from her chest. "Do not stop," she whispered. "You must finish this." Ethan looked up, his eyes full of fury. He stepped forward, grabbing a piece of glowing tech from the ground, one he had repaired earlier. He clicked it into his wrist. "Royal core fully sensed," the armor said. "Power limit removed." A bright light exploded from Ethan. His body rose slightly into the air. Energy wrapped around him like fire. His voice echoed through the sky. "No more death. No more fear." He raised his hand. A golden beam shot upward, a signal, a call to every ship, every soldier, every ally. The sky responded. Dozens of royal ships broke through the clouds, surrounding the Shadow Fleet. The battle turned. One by one, the shadow ships fell. The commander tried to run, but Clara stood up, broken but burning with strength. She threw her blade with perfect aim. It hit the commander straight through the chest. He turned to dust. Silence followed. Then cheers. Not just from soldiers, but from Earth itself. People hugged. Some cried. Some just stared at the sky, in awe. Later that night, under the stars near his cabin, Ethan stood beside Clara. "You saved my world," he said. "No," she replied. "You saved mine." They stood in silence. Then Clara smiled. "What now, my king?" Ethan looked up at the stars. So many worlds out there. So many things to fix. "We rebuild," he said. "We teach. We protect." He turned to her. "We lead. Together." And so, the human who once fixed old radios and broken chairs now fixed something far greater. He fixed the future, king of two worlds. The sun rose gently over Earth. Golden light touched the broken streets, fallen ships, and tired faces. The long night of war was finally over. Ethan stood atop a small hill near the edge of Black Pine Forest, the place where it had all begun. His cabin still stood below, quiet and unchanged, like a memory frozen in time. But Ethan was no longer the man who once lived there alone. He wore simple clothes again, no armor, no crown, but his eyes, his walk, his soul, they had changed forever. Behind him, a new city was rising. One built not by machines, but by hands, human and alien together. Down in the valley, Earth and the royal fleet worked side by side. Alien architects with glowing tools worked beside human engineers. Children from both worlds laughed in the same parks. Doctors exchanged medicines. Farmers traded seeds. Teachers told stories in two languages. Peace wasn't just signed, it was lived. But the peace had not come easy. Thousands had been lost. Many cities had suffered. Wounds, both deep and invisible, would take time to heal. That was why Ethan stayed on Earth, even when the stars called. Because he knew, before you leave the galaxy, you must first heal your home. Inside a small rebuilt council chamber, Ethan sat with world leaders, both Earthborn and Starborn. They called him king, but he never sat on the tallest chair. He listened more than he spoke. When asked how to move forward, he only said, "We fix what's broken. Together." One alien general asked, "Will you sit on the royal throne in Valorin?" Ethan looked out the window at the children playing. "Not yet," he replied. "I belong to Earth first." But not everyone was happy. In dark corners of the galaxy, whispers spread. The human king is too soft. He will not take power. Perhaps he is weak. And in secret, old enemies began to rebuild. Back on Earth, Ethan trained with Clara each morning. Under the trees, they practiced sword drills and ancient moves. Clara, now Earth's royal defender, taught with sharp precision, but also with care. "You still move like a builder," she teased. Ethan laughed. "Maybe that's because I am one." She nodded. "Then build something greater than any king before you." Their bond had grown deeper, not just warrior and king, not just protector and leader, but soul friends, bound by battle and belief. Sometimes Ethan wondered if the armor had chosen him because of her, or if fate had chosen them both. One evening, a small ship landed beside the forest. A messenger stepped out, young, nervous, and full of urgency. He knelt. "Forgive me, king, but you must come. The galaxy is changing again." Ethan stood quietly. "Is it war?" The messenger shook his head. "Not yet, but the old Council of Stars has called for unity, and they will not act unless you take your rightful place." Clara stepped beside Ethan. "They will follow if they see you lead." Ethan looked up at the night sky. He had tried to delay it. He had stayed on Earth to help his people. But now, the stars were waiting. A week later, the royal fleet rose from Earth, not as conquerors, but as friends. Ethan stood on the balcony of his flagship, watching Earth fade into a soft blue dot behind them. He held a small photo in his hand. His parents, his grandfather, and a younger version of himself. "You'd laugh if you saw me now, Grandpa," he whispered. "You always said the stars remembered us." They arrived on Valorin, the once-lost capital world of the royal bloodline. The planet had been damaged in past wars, its cities silent for years. But now, People gathered again. Flags waved. Flowers bloomed. Bells rang. Millions stood in the great hall of starlight. Ethan walked slowly toward the ancient throne, not of gold or gems, but of dark stone and light. Its roots stretched into the floor, as if it had grown from the heart of the planet itself. He turned to the crowd. He could see humans from Earth, aliens from across the stars, warriors, children, old kings in spirit form, and one silver-haired protector with tears in her eyes. And he said, "I am not here to rule over you. I am here to build with you. I am not the king because I wanted power. I am the king because I couldn't walk away when someone was broken." He stepped onto the throne, not as a conqueror, but as a healer of worlds. The hall burst into light. The crown of the two worlds appeared above him, a floating ring of stars and energy. It lowered, gently resting on his head. The galaxy whispered, shouted, sang in one voice, "Long live the Fixer King." But after the ceremony, he returned to Clara in the garden. She stood by a tree, hands behind her back. "You didn't need the crown to lead," she said. "I know," Ethan smiled. "But now they'll listen." She tilted her head. "What now?" Ethan looked toward the stars again. "Now, we go to the world still in pain. The ones forgotten. The ones left behind. We fix them too." Clara smiled. Together. Ethan looked at her. Always. Final scene. Years passed. Legends spread. Children told stories of the human king who came from the forest, of the warrior woman with silver eyes, of the day the broken throne was fixed, of the two who never stopped fighting for peace. In a quiet corner of the galaxy, a new world was born. Its name, Hope.